and welcome back to the Irish Hunting Podcast, the number one place for your hunting, fishing and country sports stories from around the world. Stick on the kettle, crack open a beer, pull up the feet, relax and enjoy. Hello, and welcome back to episode 114 of the Irish Hunting Podcast. This week, it's Backlash and fox bills. We chat about the backlash on social media after the contentious fox hunting bill, the benefits of hunting in rural Ireland, and some undercover work we've been doing without the cover. Enjoy this one, folks. Had your little spray there, did you?
I did, yeah.
Roberto, how are you, man?
All good, buddy. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good. You're enjoying yourself there. You have a nice glass of red wine in front of you.
There you go.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. She's gone out for the evening, so I'm just taking it nice and handy.
Oh, man, well, a well-earned break.
Yeah. Now, the young lad, he's after coming in to me there. I got him a bottle of Smirnoff Ice. So he came in and gave me the nod. Can I have a little sup? Yeah, go on. So,
and so it starts, huh?
Yeah.
We were actually over in Germany, and I don't know where I sent you a picture. Rhino had his first couple of sips of over in Germany. I think it's 16. They can have beer. Well, that's the owner of the restaurant told us anyway, but he only had a couple of sips. Not that we're condoning underage drinking or anything, but he had a couple of little tastes. That's going to go down great with the Anties, isn't it? As if I haven't pissed them off enough this month, Robert.
You've been doing a good job of it.
I have been. Wish you luck, because you know me, once I get my head stuck into something, and I'm a devil for making friends.
Look, in fairness, some of the stuff that they put up over the last since that young lad lost his life, some of the stuff that went up. Yeah, you can't get down. Like, there's no way they can stand over some of the stuff that they said.
Funny, we only, our last podcast, we chatted about social media, and we were only actually talking about kind of nonsensical stuff, like people getting on to us about, and they're at it again there, the bit of butchering or whatever, or using a knife or incorrect use of whatever, and the what would you say, the negative side of social media. And my God, I didn't know how bad.
Dark.
Yeah, like really dark, man, really
like
dark.
Said, we were only looking at, it was piddly enough stuff, but just as a community, why we turned on each other, and then that young lad lost his life, and then it wasn't even, our community actually came together a little bit.
It did like
all the
a good bit. Yeah.
Over the last couple of weeks now, there's been a good show.
Yeah, there's a nice shift.
I didn't realise people were that nasty. Like, they're so quick to fight about the controlling of foxes, like predators.
Yeah.
Right? But a young lad loses his life, and some of that boil that was coming out of people.
Yeah, it was genuinely horrendous. I couldn't. I couldn't. I think it started off. I was texting you that night when that happened. I said, "Geez, did you see what's after happening? We just have to break it on the news." And obviously, the details weren't released or whatever. But you were kind of, it just said two young men out hunting, so you were kind of hoping that it wasn't, But anyway, look, the details are the details at this stage. We don't want to be dragging anyone's thing to the mud or anything, and giving them any grief. I mean, more undue grief, rather. But like that, your heart just immediately went out to them, and you're thinking, how vulnerable life is, and young man, 20, like same age as my young fella, and you're looking, And then I just happened to switch on. And it was about 9:30. I switched on to Facebook, which is I shouldn't be doing it anyway. But and then I just caught wind of some of the stuff, man. Then my mind just started to literally. I lost the run of myself because I was thinking like, if that was my young fella, do you know what I mean? Like how God forbid, but how like obviously the horrendous thing of having to go through what they're going through this Christmas and so on, and then to the flip side of that, then um, if they happened to flick on or one of the family flicked on so and seen some of that stuff, imagine it.
Yeah. And even the young man, I actually don't know the ins and outs of it, but whoever or however he lost his life. Like imagine, for instance, me and you were out shooting, or me
Yeah,
and my son were out, and
yeah.
an accident happened. You'd never forgive yourself.
No, that's the thing, and like it's yeah, and that like that crossed my mind as well. How many times we've been out hunting, and you know what I'm saying, like we've hunted together now many's a year, but like we've come through some rough terrain, and one of us tripped, or you know, getting over a fence, or you know, how many times have we caught the leg in a bit of barbed wire or something, or coming through the bush, and like a couple of times coming through the bush, and you check, and next thing, a bush is after kicking off the safety or something. You know what I'm saying? So how very yeah, go
Quite
on.
easily could happen. Like
Yeah,
very like weapon safety is obviously it's very important, right? But you to be out hunting that much that the the more you're familiar with stuff, the more lax you get. Even though you
yeah.
think like quite easily an accident could happen.
Without a doubt, like it's the what would you say? It's the easiest thing in the world to forget about, especially when you know automatically we can what would you say? Transfer your thoughts into how they were. They're probably walking same as me and you were there having a shy talk, maybe having a bit of slagging about each other, spotted something over in the distance and we're trying to stalk in or get in on us or whatever. Um, and a bit of excitement and you know you can just nearly almost imagine, the scenario. Um, and then for it to end the way it did, it's our hearts go out to them, But I think following on from that, we were actually starting to do a little bit of work on the fox hunting bill, like as in there was a few bits with submissions and so on, um,
Yeah.
going on, and so we were actually just doing a little bit of work on that, and then this kicked off, and that night I started. I said I'm going to try and get one or two of these comments like taken off. I started to report a couple of them, and then just wasn't happening quick enough. Like it would have been days before. So yeah, I know.
What did you do? What did you do, buddy?
Well, what I did was I put my hunting skills to work, man. I started to find out where these people socialized and lived and worked. And then I started to put up on their community groups. Here, can you see with this person? Could you have a chat here and get this person to remove this comment? First couple were a little bit. Uh, I asked them like, "Come here, would you just take down that comment? You know what I mean? Do you want to retract that?" And then they got a little bit, no, 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 double down. I said, all right, yeah. So I had them all screenshot before I went to them and gave them the opportunity. And then I said, all right, that's grand. So then I started to go on their group. I found out like, you know what I mean? If there were Portlaoise community group, yeah, grand, there you go. So then all of a sudden messages started to disappear right quickly. Um, and I found myself at 3 o'clock in the morning still doing this, going on LinkedIn profiles and everything. And I know people are going to say, "Jesus, man, that's I'm mad." Like, but I was genuinely, man. I couldn't get them deleted
No,
quick enough.
I know, and I know what you were trying to do because I was chatting to you. You didn't want the family or
No,
going through any more pain than was they were already going through. So I
yeah,
completely get where you're coming from. Um, and there's been a bit of backlash since that on
yeah,
from people. Yeah,
yeah. There has been they've obviously found out my profile and stuff like that, and a few of them were. naming and shaming me on different groups. Watch out for this madman. He's going around. I'm the madman. I'm the madman. Like, is this like? And
They have a valid point.
yeah, I'm trying not to go on a rant, right? Because I said I wasn't, but like the irony and the madness of this stuff, lads, like is literally, that I'm asking them to take down a comment for a young man who's lost his life, and I'm a madman. Nobody's saying
Yeah.
anything about, and I'm not saying they were all, but I would say 70%, which is going to surprise people, were women. Like
Yeah, no, I've seen that. I've seen that. And older women as well that you would think would have more sense.
more sense. Yeah, yeah. So I was contacted by a lovely girl, because like that, I was there. I could be doing more harm than good here. At one stage, that's what I kind of thought. Maybe like if am I highlighting this now? Am I actually accentuating the problem? But then a lady actually contacted me, um, and she knew the family and just said, "Listen,
Right.
I see what you're doing. Thanks so much." Like she said, like she knew both of the young men, um, and she said we like they obviously appreciate what um we're trying to do. So I suppose look, that was never. I wouldn't have ever. I was hoping that nobody belonging to either family would have even seen it. That it would have kind of went unnoticed, and then these were just getting deleted, and it would just look like I was a mad man ranting somewhere. You know what I mean? Which when people say, sure, it's only your man himself again. But so yeah, then quite quickly, then I suppose we rolled into that, uh, into the fox hunting bill. Um,
Yeah.
And again, I thought this was like just going to be a political issue. Like in other words, we could do it rationally, like a democratic society. You put your submissions to your TDs and you lobby your TDs, and but it's almost become like you know like the American style politics. And I know you can't rightly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, so we'll address that, right?
Yeah,
Members of the Defence Forces don't have or don't aren't allowed to voice political views. So on a bill such as the fox hunting bill, I can't um, openly come out and give opinions or try and sway or because members of the
yeah,
Defence Force aren't allowed. But I will say, birds of a feather flock together, Anthony.
yes, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
No,
a lot of our opinions would be of the same sort of nature.
yeah. And look, I'm very conscious that I like, and that's why I went on my own personal profile when I
Yeah.
was kind of so people probably wonder why we weren't putting and it's for that reason. I don't want any backlash that way. So and we've kept it kind of separate, which is grand. But so if there's any heat, it'll be which will only be let people spitting bile at me. So and that's grand. Sure. I've 42 years of that.
You're,
So
you're well you're
yeah,
well used to it.
yeah.
But
But
isn't it mad how people they weren't even armed with correct information? Like there was no
no,
fact based arguments. There was just emotion. And I'm not gonna because I'm from Dublin, but it seemed to be people from urban areas giving really strong, un unfounded opinions.
yeah, and funny enough, I was actually and rightly so. Um, my own namesake, I think Richard Grogan, if he's listening, he'll probably be listening anyway, but he quite rightly called me out and he said, there's a lot of people like yourself, in towns
Yeah,
and urban
yeah.
areas that hunt. So we don't want to, I would say, we don't want to make it the kind of rural versus urban divide. But you're right, there's very little rural opposition to it. It's mostly urban, which, look, you can kind of expect because they're a little bit, what would you say, they're one step removed from country living, like, you know what I mean?
From the real issues that predators like that are causing.
Exactly. And look, going back to your original point there, Rob, I think that was, uh, and it's a very, very valid point because I was expecting, like, when this thing kicked off, I was expecting that Paul Murphy and Rue Coppinger and they were all going to put you know, like statistic based, factual evidence that, you know, all right, here we go. a fox only, for arguments, I'm throwing out it's only contributes to like 1% of predation and or whatever. I was expecting, right, have a look at this and say, right, where's our figures, and to try and is there 2% in it, or is there 55% in it? But there was none of that. It was just they just kept releasing polls upon polls that 80% of people, or 75% of people, 92% of people are in support of the fox hunting ban. That's all.
Well, it didn't transpire like that. It was a landslide.
It was a landslide. It was what they tried to do in the end was they tried to be too smart. They threw in an all-encompassing hunting, and they tried to slide that in, thinking that the silly old country folks are that they won't really even read this old bill, and we'll get this
They
through.
won't understand.
No,
They wouldn't understand it, even if they
no.
did bother reading
Now, and I had to read it a couple of times, Robert, but really slow. But and there's some big words in there now. But
it.
yeah, we managed to decipher it. But I think quite quickly we realised, right, we're going to have to get a lot of people here to start. If they weren't in any doubt, start chatting to your local councillors, your local TDs, and start putting, right, lads, here now. This is one of our things here, yeah. It's very, very important to country life, and we'll probably go through some of the stuff that it brings to rural Ireland, I suppose, in particular. But yeah, it was. I think some of the TDs I contacted our own here in Nisha Carroll. He was in contact with me throughout, and but like that, we kind of expected it to go the way it went. Um, but you're never sure until it's over. You're just never sure.
I was genuinely surprised. It was 124 to 24.
Yeah,
I didn't think it would be that much of
yeah,
a runaway.
yeah. It was a landslide, in fairness. So, um, but I just think, Robert, the feeling I'm getting, because I'm on a lot of these anti pages, right, just to keep kind of abreast of some of the stuff that's going on. Um, so just to put people in the loop, they 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 don't like mouse traps, live mouse, like they want humane mouse traps. There's pictures of like a cartoon character of a mouse getting trapped in a trap, and there's fish hooks with a hook in them. So they don't want you fishing. They don't want. That's the ultimate goal, is to get to that. So the fox hunting is what would you say, the thin edge, the thin slice of the wedge, Um,
Yeah.
but that's ultimately where they want to go. So make no mistake about it. Um, but I think,
Do you think that they mind cats killing mice?
no, funny enough, they believe that that's nature.
But we are part of the circle of nature.
Well, yeah, seemingly we're outside the loop, and um, we've evolved so much that we seem we don't need to eat, or I don't know, but yeah, that's the premise to it. But yeah, I think the resounding feeling that I'm getting now, because even on them groups, that's what I was saying, was I'm looking through all the comments, and these are their own groups now and their own pages, right? And I'm sure they're
Yeah.
deleting a lot of the ones that don't fit the view. But if you go quite quickly on it, you'll see it's almost 50-50% split. Sometimes a little bit more on their side, obviously, because these are their pages. But whereas if you go on ours, like, it's resounding. You might get the odd one or two comments in from the diehard anti fan or whatever, but um, so I'm not so sure that their statistics are or where they polled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would say it's their own groups were polled.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it is the thin wedge. Once they got this, it would be something else at the field sports. They'd just chip and chip away. Like I told you, I was in Lakelands and bumped into a lad, and nice fella, actually invited us down to his place to do a night shoot.
Yeah,
And he was saying, oh, it's like it doesn't involve firearms. It doesn't really involve us. And then he went, but I suppose it's one of the field sports. So it is us. It is.
Yeah,
We're all part of the field sports. For instance, I've seen the hunts as a child in Tip, but I've never been a part of it.
yeah.
But I know that it's part of our community. So we all have to come together to defend that.
Yeah,
If it's the right thing to defend.
yeah, I suppose this is because I've taught now, as you know, we've had plenty of discussions about this, and we'll go back a year or so ago where I went down to one of the foothound hunts, down in Kilkenny, Munna with Beldone. He'd probably be a big shout out to him as well. He's educated me no end. But like that, I wasn't involved in it, so I did not know. So, and I met at my business at that time. That was before your time on the podcast, but you'll remember that time.
Yeah.
And I met at my
Oh, I remember it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I said like I can't have an opinion on this because I don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like me talking about I don't know, like uh, engineering or something. I'm a scaffolder. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's not something. So I met in my business. I went down, and I went down with a completely open mind. No, I left kind of both sides of the preconceived ideas, kind of, and then when I came back, is it something that I'll be doing? Like, will I be going out to buy hounds or participate? No, it's not. That's not what floats my boat. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the same way as I'd have a preference over one type of shooting than another. That. But on the other side of it, I can absolutely resonate with what the guys that are doing. Are like this is their gun. Do you know what I'm saying? This is
Yeah.
their their uh, their way of
It's their,
life, and
it's their community, which is a
yeah,
big part of
it's monstrous, man. And I can't if if people were to say that, right, grand, we're going to save. I don't know how many foxes is killed by the hunts across the country during the year, um, but in the overall scheme of things, um, generally they're the weaker ones because the fox will outwit a hound if he's young, fit, and healthy. Um, but if they are caught, I don't know. I'd say it's low enough in numbers, right?
it.
But it's still an essential part because there's areas where me and you can't do predation control. Like remember we went on the hunt around our ground, and there's woods there where you could walk from now to the end of time and you won't see a fox. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just too heavy cover.
Yeah.
So if you're releasing birds and you're trying to create safe areas of control, dogs are an essential part of that. Um, so yeah, like, and they're what people probably don't understand, I suppose, from the outside is dogs are pretty efficient at killing animals. So, like, if the people are saying, "Oh, the fox has been torn apart," that's one of the arguments. That's the emotive side, it's to create a kind of an emotion a visual in people's minds who don't know. Oh, Jesus, but
Now, right, the dog is tearing the fox apart. However, the fox is dead.
dead. That's
The,
that's what I'm
the
saying.
fox
Yeah,
is dead within a couple of seconds.
they're
So,
extremely efficient at doing the initial part of the job, which is killing the fox.
yeah. So what they're seeing is the end product, no different than I shoot a deer.
Yeah,
The deer dead. So if I decide to chop that deer up and turn it into steaks, that's the same thing. That's what the dogs are doing.
you're
It's
essentially tearing the thing apart. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
and all the noise, and because there is a lot of noise, because there's a big pack of dogs, it's the dogs making all the noise.
yeah. And what's happening is one dog's obviously got to the fox first. Like that. So it's the same way as the weakest fox will essentially get nabbed. But the strongest dog, the front of the pack, is going to get to that fox first. So he's going to get there and quite quickly dispatch that fox. But the rest of them are after the same fox. So they'll come in and there'll be one lad trying to, you know what I mean, take it from, and another dog trying. So now what's happening is now you're seeing a visual of four or five dogs attacking a fox. That's the, what would you say, the perception. But as you say, the fox is dead. It's not alive anymore. So it's only the dogs doing what dog will naturally do.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's where, and this is the way I came to the decision, because I wouldn't support something if I didn't believe that it was the right thing to support. I just wouldn't say anything. But I've watched foxes take doe rabbits out of a burrow, off a litter young, and pull it up out of the burrow squealing, and literally drag it back up. And again, that's nature. No issue. It's part, but there's zero difference in my mind between that and the hound catching the fox. There's no, there is no. The only difference is that there's either people walking behind the group of hounds, which they have to, just can't just let hounds run wild in the countryside, or there's people on horses. That's the only difference.
You'll get people arguing that, oh, those dogs are bred for that, and the human is the basically pulling the trigger on the dog. But I'd argue the point that natural selection or natural breeding in the wild, tigers, lions, the ones that are still alive and doing all the hunting are naturally bred for that through nature. It's zero difference.
Zero, like it's that's what I can't. It's a non-argument to me for them to be saying on one side, "Oh, just let everything just be," and then on the other side say, "Stop your hounds from hunting." Like it's like that'd be like I could like almost every springer that you could bring them out. Once they get on a bit of scent, for the first, that's it's almost innate. Like the training, obviously, in terms of how far they hunt beside you, yeah, your commands, all that kind of stuff. That's human interference, but there's almost, and for people who don't probably understand, it's almost this kind of same as a bloodhound. It's literally the first time they pick up that, it's like, oh, I know what I'm at here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like a genetic drive.
It
They're
is.
built for that. Yeah.
And that genetic drive, I think, as well, is in us. Like people are saying, about, oh, we've evolved and so on, but we still are. Like we still have that. Uh, I always say to people, like, people who don't hunt, and I'd be, because people, it inevitably comes up in conversation, but I say, like, until you've experienced coming, going hunting your own quarry, bringing home butchers, and giving it to your family, I don't think you can understand quite the profound impact it has on you. I think it's important, very important part of my life, and the training that I'm giving to my kids. You'd feel the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I
I
tell
think
you,
that's
I've had this conversation, no different than you, with lots of people, right? And it always starts off with, oh, I can't believe you hunt. And I go straight to, you eat meat. And 90% of people do eat meat. I said, so the
yeah,
only thing you have a problem with is me going out and sourcing my own meat. Like I'm willing to do the job that you're not willing to do.
yeah.
Like,
They're
and
not.
that's what actually throws people because they're so far removed from, I won't say reality, but like all obviously meat has to die, like, you know. But if it was taught at an early age in school that animals die, they're processed, this is the, then you understand, you're educated. And then if you choose to do it yourself, it's not a big deal.
Absolutely. Like you've seen me. Like I shot my first deer with you only a
Yeah.
couple of seasons ago, really. In the grand scheme of things, but like, and I wouldn't have been squeamish. But still, it's a huge moment. If you're shooting a deer, then you have to
Mm.
grolic it, and like it's not. What would you say? That's not the nice part of it. You're going up to like a dead animal, and like people think, oh, you're jumping up and down, cheering and laughing and joking or whatever. That's not the case. All the bits up to that, where you've put in the hours and the hard yards, and you've got in and stalked in the animal and all that kind of stuff, and your gun training, everything leads up to that moment. That's the, what would you say, the enjoyment part that you get. Being honing your skill. Um, up to that, when you pull the trigger, then there's a period in time where you're not ecstatic. You're not jumping up and like people think you're having a party or something. You know what I mean? But now again, we are trophy hunters, so we do live for a trophy as well. That's part of our. So we're not making any excuses for that.
No,
But
we've been shooting that long that you want memories from your hunts.
yeah,
Yeah, and you've put in the time and effort to target and stalk and hunt a particular animal. Like
yeah,
that's just the next evolution of hunting. I think we'll take this one for the herd, for the well-being of I can manage that herd ourselves.
yeah. And it's the right animal for us that time and all that kind of stuff. So there's loads of
Yeah.
things that go into that, but and that's nearly I suppose that's another day's work. But in terms of getting back to the fox hunting and stuff, um, fox hunting will be it's I followed the English um, hunting scene quite closely because especially a lot of the wildlife groups and they're having issues over there now. Do you know what I'm saying? And people they're in denial saying it's not because of. But if you take a large cohort out of any one group, most particularly out of a small, like because hunting is a small niche group. So if you take, they're saying, oh, it's only a small amount of men on horseback. But if you take a small amount out of a small group of people, it is going to diminish it. So, um, and then what you're doing is you're taking that group out of the country sport, and a lot of them people might be doing two or three disciplines. They might be hunting with a gun, they might be hunting on foot, um, and they might be on a horse. So if you take that out, you don't know the impact of that until it's done.
What type of snags are they running into?
Well, there's a couple of um, what would you say? There's some conservation projects, um, and a lot. Well, I'm not saying I can't say a lot, right? But there is quite a few running into predation problems because there's obviously now I think in parts of Wales there's issues with there's pheasants. I think they're talking about banning or have banned some of the pheasant release or whatever, and then up in Scotland, then similar to that on some of the moors, um, there's kind of government conservation projects that were previously managed by local gamekeepers and stuff. Um, and of course, the government projects are hip hip hooray, and we're doing great. But I think there's a lot of people on the ground who don't see it all that way. So in other words, there was big changes made, and sometimes not all for the right reason. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and then like that, there's a whole like obviously they've gone on now. They've banned fox hunting on horseback since 2000 or with hounds 2004, 2005, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And now I think this weekend actually they've started the process process to stop trail hunting. So the argument here was
What's trail hunting? What's that harm?
well there's trail hunting and then there's the other one is the now see again I'm not and we're going to have people on to explain better. So the trail hunting, as
Yeah.
far as I know, and I stand corrected on this, is where there's a a rag with scent, I think, dragged through the countryside and then the yeah. But there's another one as well. I can't remember what the other one was. There's another type as well. Again, um, I won't speak about it because I don't know enough of it. But anyway, but they've what they've done is you were going to interject there. Do you
No,
know?
I was going to say we're having people on to talk through that.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't want to say something that's incorrect. I'm very conscious of that because it's a delicate subject at the minute. I definitely don't want to put my foot into, especially something I don't know. Um,
Do you think
uh,
it's gone? Or do you think they're going to make another stab at it?
like they're going to come back. Obviously, the animal welfare bill at the minute. That's up in January 2nd. So, all the submissions have to be in by that, and that's going to be a huge part of this because all these groups now are going to utilize that as their as like they're calling it a war. You know, like if you go on their groups, they say there's this is a war. This war is not over. So like we call for a bit of calm afterwards. Say like right, we don't want any gloating. We don't want any kind of we won, you lost type stuff. You know, but make no
Mm.
mistake about it. These people are that way. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, but in terms of, I think that weekend or this weekend, the trail hunting, it looks like it's going to. I think it's this weekend, and that bill is up in England, in the UK, and it looks like they're going to ban trail hunting. So the argument over here was that, oh, so why can't, like, you don't have to hunt the fox, you can do trail hunting. But you see quite quickly what they'll do is they'll come. They don't, because they don't want people on horseback. They don't want people having a large group of hounds. That's so the ultimate goal is make no mistake about it. And people are saying, especially here, like, oh, well, England did it, and that's always the, you know, why we're so far behind. Irish people tend to do it the Irish way. I think in this particular instance, we've been vindicated. I think we've kept emotion on our side anyway out of the argument, um, and we've kept it to fact, and evidence and so on. The thing is, I think what we don't want is a situation where over in the UK they have groups of of people in balaclavas and sunglasses and stuff in black regalia, what would you say, army black army regalia or whatever you want to call it. Um,
Yeah, I seen a good few videos of that, and it's very intimidating, especially for like a farmer by himself, or maybe
without,
one or two lads, and a group of 20 turn up. I mean, like if I turned up in a balaclava, I'd be arrested.
yeah,
So I don't know how they're allowed to go around intimidating. But look,
yeah,
it's not too prevalent here at the moment,
no,
even though
I
there
don't
is
think
some
it'd be.
here.
Yeah, there is some groups here, but
Yeah.
they're not getting much support, um, because I don't think there's too many farmers in the countryside. Well, definitely not around our area here that would put up with that quite so long. They quite quickly now find themselves with a very shrewd ultimatum, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so and they obviously utilize the fact that, you know, if you're out there with a firearm or in control of a horse, you have to be above the law. You have to be, you know, squeaky clean. You know, so you can't even raise your voice. Oh, you show aggression with a firearm, you're gone. You know.
Yeah. Like what's the advice for say a new shooter out that is facing something like that? Do you unload the shotgun? Do you hand it off while you have a chat? Because make no mistake that they'll be recording. So if you get all hot and heavy while holding a firearm, that's probably your firearm gone, which is sad to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Immediately, I do this almost because I've had this over my head. If I see somebody, either I recognize or don't recognize, break the gun, shells come out of the gun into the pouch. You know, the gun is broken over my arm. It's visible then, broken at all times. Um, in terms of handing off, obviously if you've a mate there and you can give two firearms to one and one can go back to the jeep and one can have the conversation, all the better. Um, but definitely do not get into any kind of a confrontation with a firearm on your side, because, um, as you say, something could be taken out of context on video, and then, you know,
Do you know how I know that is the right thing to do, but do you imagine me and you out shooting and we have shit like we're doing everything above board. We
yeah,
have shooting, and then next minute people start coming over, and it's very easy now not to stay calm in that type of situation.
it is. Especially like if you're in an area where I can see people over in the UK where they've obviously hunted out since they were kids. You know, like they've gone the same fields, since they were kids, and now you have people like literally standing in front of them on horses and making sudden movements towards them, like dangerous stuff. You know.
Seen them hitting horses and everything. Now a
Yeah.
horse is Because they're like a pack animal. They're nervous at the best times. You start making loud noises, you'll end up getting someone trampled.
Without a doubt, and then they're banging stuff trying to distract hounds, and then like hounds are getting dragged away from the pack. You know, you might have a trailing hound and they're distracting it, and then obviously there's a video going up. Then, oh, this hound was found wandering. Like, sure,
Yeah.
the poor devil doesn't know where. Like, he's following the sound of the group, or there's a guy with the horn is and they're banging tins to completely disorientate. Like, that's so what you're doing is then you're then putting a hound out into ground that he may not have permission to hunt in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so you're actually forcing. There has to be some sort of regulation on that. But look, that it's not prevalent here just as yet. But
Yeah.
I think it's just something we have to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Come here. You're famous.
Yeah, man. I not by choice now. I was actually over in Austria, and Davy Cullen gave me a ring or gave me a voice message to say, um, I think it was one of the radio shows. It was talking about fox hunting. Would I go on it? And I said, Jesus, no, man. Like, I don't. I don't want to say something wrong that would might. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, and the bill was won at this stage. But the following morning, I was back home here, and funny enough, the live line, and I heard of phone in or text in about, it was talking about online abuse. I think actually one of I think it was a social democrat, actually, Jennifer Whitmore, had received horrendous abuse about her weight or something, which is completely wrong, um, and I just think it's terrible. Now, don't get me wrong. I've given people stick when they give me a stick. You know what I mean? I can give it back. No issue there. If you can give it, you have to take it. Grand. But she wasn't given any stick. She was just giving her opinion, and it was different to ours. It was against fox hunting, or whatever it was. But she got huge abuse, or maybe it wasn't even about the fox hunting. I don't know. But she got one or two, and she actually rang. And just for everyone, because a few people have said this, I rang and he was a businessman, and he worked for himself, and a few people said, "Was that you?" So I just want to clarify, it was not me, right? So, um,
Like you do give it back
yeah,
and fairly give it back. You never attack someone's, let's say, family or appearance, or
never,
if
ever,
someone
ever.
said something untrue, you go back with facts, or
Yeah,
we try our best to go back with facts.
yeah, yeah. Like, I've given it to lads where they've, kind of been personal with me. You know what I'm saying? So I've no issue
Yeah.
doing that. But and sometimes I do say, "Oh, you're only getting involved with it." But anyway, but long story short, I heard this thing, so I just said, obviously, the thing with the what we were just after speaking about there with the online abuse of that poor young man. Um, so I just said, um, I text in, I gave the whole dialogue we're after speaking about there, and I sent in about 25 or 30 of the screenshots which I have on file, yeah, just in case, um, of all the different people, that had said stuff. And a reporter rang me back almost, immediately, and he he was talking through, and obviously they're impartial anyway. And he said, "You seem to know a little bit about."
Now we'll go back to that impartiality now in a sec, right? Go on.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then I said, he said, "You seem to know a bit about hunting." I said, "Look, we do a bit of hunting. We have a podcast, etc." Said, "Oh, what's the name of the podcast? And then what's your own name? And they take your address, because in case you say something legally incriminating, or you have to give an air code, Um, and I said, "Oh, fucking hell, man! I better not say anything." Anyway, so he said, "Would you be interested in talking about the hunting?" I said, "Well, I'm more interested in, like, combating the issue you're talking about there." And I could hear you, Jennifer Whitmore, on talking about it as I was talking to him.
Yeah.
I said, "But look, Grant, I'll chat about it if there's nobody else coming on or whatever." So rang me back. "Yeah, look, you're up here. in a few minutes about the hunting. So I suppose the rest is history. It's a very difficult format to chat on because you're given like a couple of seconds and then somebody else gets, which is fair enough. But like obviously politicians are well used to chatting and dragging out a point for a little bit longer than say I am, you know.
Yeah, but am I right in saying that you are muted at certain stages, so you can't actually interject with a valid point?
No. So if anyone had heard me, I was here. Sorry, can I just? Sorry, no, that's wrong. you know, the end. Hello, let me in there. That's wrong. But I was saying to you, did you hear me when I was? And you said no. I think you heard me interject once. No, I was trying to get in about 20 times. You know, um, because funny enough, all the what would you say, the anti pages would have hailed Jennifer Whitmore as one of her kind of poster girls, you know, that stood up for them, and she actually turned out to be a fan of venison, and she loves deer jerky and stuff. So we'll have to get her a little bit deer jerky and send it up. Um, but no, she's a nice person. I've nothing against her, and she's entitled to her views. You know, fair enough. Um, but I think the whole debate. I think the guy after me, I think his name was John. I thought he was fantastic. Just I thought he was superb in his summation of hunting. He was obviously um, uh, he follows the hunt, so he's a little bit well, he's a lot more qualified speaking than I was. Um, I just probably wanted to get what would you say the communal aspect of it across. You know that this is all of us here. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
He, he was good. He was good, and very educated on that particular topic. But you're downplaying yourself. I actually thought you spoke very well. Um, and and this is where I said I'm going to circle back to fairness and someone being impartial. The host, you were making too much sense there at one stage, and he jumped in. He jumped in, not even someone else, and he
Yeah,
started shutting you down, which I don't think he should have done. If he's hosting it, he should be doing it impartial, is my
yeah,
opinion. You know you're making sense when the host views starts coming through.
yeah.
You know what I
Because
mean?
I don't think he jumped in too many other times. You know,
No.
so that was kind of noticeable. But I suppose, look, he, I would, I've heard, I've listened to the program, so I kind of know his underlying view. You know, and I suppose it is very difficult to be impartial. You know, you have an opinion, and it will come out. You know, be it in tone or whatever. You know, and that's fair enough. He's entitled to it. You know, it's not. I have no issue, but um, I think I had a few other points to make that I didn't get, and I was trying to build up to it in terms of the rabbit down the hole like we spoke about, and then um, he kind of made the point about the horse, but I said like the natural like there's people at home right now, sitting at home having a beer, popcorn or pack of crisps, and they're looking at National Geographic, and there's a lion chasing a zebra, and David Attenborough is narrating it, and you'll see the whole thing, um, and it'll be and my point being is people's issue is that there's somebody instead of being behind a television screen that there's somebody walking behind here watching this or on a horse. So that's what we're doing is because somebody else is getting a slight bit more enjoyment out of the whole scenario, as in like because bear in mind a lot of people following this hunt won't actually get to see
No.
what happens with by the time they get up to it's game over. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So they're just so
The
that
people on the hunt, buddy, the actual people on horseback, very few of them get to see the end process because they're all jumping ditches and trailed out behind. Some horses are faster and slower. You have youths, you have older, you know.
I would say as we said there, there's a small in the overall terms of the foxes that are what would you say dispatched in the country, it's a small proportion is done by the horse and hound, I would imagine, right? Statistically, right? Of that number, uh, as you rightly said, how many of them will actually get to see the actual act would be fewer. At least you're talking, if ever, it would be very, very small. So like people's issue now is, and I think this is the big issue here, right? There's almost, especially you look at the parties, the people before profit. You just look at their naming. It's kind of this like, uh these guys think they're slightly bit better than us now. Come on off that horse there, There's a little bit of that. No, no, we don't want you doing that. We don't understand it. We don't want to understand it, but we don't want you doing it. Do you know? Um, and I think John actually made a very good. The girl that came on, and I'm not having a go at her in terms of she was at the anti-hunt and whatever, and he asked her, "Have you ever seen?" No, but I've seen a video. Yeah, but have you ever seen it? So, like, go on one of the days and have an open mind. If you're going there with a preconceived idea, you're not going to change it. Like it's not going to be that you're going to, oh, Eureka moment, I was completely wrong here. But what I am saying is, I suppose you watched this year for probably the first time. I would have explained to you what went on in our club for the last couple of years, uh, and we spoke about it. You've seen the whole kind of community aspect there, like
And the community, you have, we've talked about it, but until you actually, well, for me anyway,
yeah.
until I actually experience it, see it with my own eyes, get the vibe of it. The community aspect on the 1st of November this year was the best uh, start to a shooting season I've ever had.
Well, and you've shot more pheasants, man, than I could ever dream of. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not. And this year you shot one. So
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, and you're there. So if that doesn't prove that it's not about, do you know what I mean? It's the collective. It's the bit of excitement the night before. There's we meet up and make a plan where we want to go. It's rough shooting, so it's completely unexpected. It's unpredictable. Um, we've young kids, we've older people. You know what I'm saying? And then the breakfast. There's a family feel to it, and there's guys there, and there's people in our club, and I'm saying this because I know now I can say it. I'm not going to mention any names, but like there's guys that went through tough times. You know what I'm saying? And the club gives them um, a focus and just a kind of a, what would you say, a break from the mundane and the everyday pressures and stresses and stuff. So, and I wouldn't, the mental health thing, we as men never really kind of we brush it off, and I'd be one of them. I'd be grand, whatever. We can't underestimate it, dude. Like it's a vital component, I think.
Even just as simple as just being outdoors, active in nature. The actual harvesting of an animal is probably, for anyone who's listening that doesn't hunt, it's one of the lesser things. It's about being out with people you want to be out with, enjoying yourself in nature. Um, there's a saying there, I think, is it 24 hours in green? It's like it can reboost you if you're
Whatever.
slightly.
Funny enough, I was thinking, like this is again, it was one of I wrote a submission for that for the bill, or for the Wildlife Act, for and I think I sent it to you, but it was kind of like the whole thing. We're now searching. Like if you go into towns, right? You go into the Dublin now at the minute, and they're looking for, they're talking about sea swims, and there's like groups coming together to do this, to grounding, and there's beach yoga, but it's all the same thing, man. It's just people, a small group of people getting together. You know, I guarantee you, does everyone who goes beach or sea swimming, would they be? would they have been, fans of swimming? Not particularly. There's a community aspect. There's a what would you say? There's a mental health boost that you get. There's obviously a health. So it's all encompassing, and it gives a community where really especially over the last 20 years, communities have been lost. So people don't see that because they don't understand how rural life works. Like people here would be, you know, 5K apart. It's not as if you can knock in next door and get a pint of milk. So, you know, your friend could be 5 kilometers away, and especially for older people, um, you see Noli there in our club. I mean, this is his thing, This checks the pheasants every day. He shoots 2 pheasants a year, maybe, Um, looks after his dogs all year round. Do you know what I'm saying? Take that away from that
Shoots
man.
two, shoots two, but rares how many?
Yeah, that's
How
what I'm
many is he
saying.
putting out?
Yeah, 300, 350, and he treats them like you go into his house now from March on, right? It's like a maternity ward. He has little mini incubator. He's 3 or 4 incubators going. He has little turf boxes all cleared out that he has his brooding boxes. So you could go over beside the fire. There could be 6 in a little box beside the fire. There could be another 8 out in the back hall. There could be 10 in the shed. And you know what I'm saying? It's his
I
lifeblood.
I think that's actually, now that you're saying that, I think that is one of the things that made me enjoy it more this year was raising pheasants here because they're fragile little things and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're doing your best to get them through. So like I had one there, Freddie, and his legs were going a bit wonky, and I was straight on the phone to you here. This lad Freddie's not looking great.
yeah,
What do I do
yeah.
here? Like
Bad.
you're spending a lot of time trying to mind these.
Exactly, and then it becomes kind of, I suppose. Look, it's no different. I seen when I went down to the kennels down in Mullavat. Um, there's I can't remember the man's name, and there was over the kennel. He's the kind of the boss man of the hunt. You know what I mean? He has the horn and
Yeah.
all his kids, like his kids, and he knows every dog by name. Like I'm looking at these man looking at, and he's telling Owen, he's there, yeah, such and such, he's the son of such and such. And I'm looking at, how in the name of God, man? Like there's 50 hounds here, but he knows them
Yeah.
and his daughter, what's more is his daughter's only, a nipper. She'd know them, the sons, same thing. Like, so, um, like that, this is, uh, every day after school, those kids go down, and muck out the dogs. The horses, the same thing. If it's stables and so on, and feeding and like you're either prepping meat for the following day, feeding them. If one of them needs veterinary attention or whatever. So this is like 365. Every day.
Doesn't stop. You could be sick. Those dogs need to be fed. They need to be ran,
Yeah,
cleaned out. Like it's a huge commitment. Same with horses. And then would you have those dogs? Because the breeding that has to go in to those dogs, the food that they have to go through, like just the money that they generate to hunt. You were going to talk about some of the stuff that is beneficial from the hunt. And I
yeah.
suppose the first the community, but then also the financial generation of wealth from the hunt.
Without a doubt, dude. I mean, you couldn't. I don't think you could put a price in it because I was talking to the brother-in-law yesterday, and again, he wouldn't have been, well up with the hunt and stuff. Um, doesn't shoot or and I was saying to him like, right, Grant, just we'll take the the hunt out, right? So around here, like these are not ultra wealthy people here. Like there's people here that rent a little square of grass off a farmer, have a horse or or a small pony for one of the kids or whatever to go on the hunt. They train them all year round. So they go like that. They muck them out every evening, all year round, feed them. So you take the farmer gets a few bob for the bit of land. You've the vet, you've the farrier, you've the few bob for the hay and the feed. You've the local farm stores here. You've the equine, the livery and the clothing. Then you have the meat for the dogs. Again, veterinary bills and like, and then they all come together as a community a couple of times. Then when the season comes in, and bear in mind these guys they do it seasonally. Like people say, oh, like they don't like we hunt foxes all year round here for farmers and stuff like that. But the hunt actually it's seasonal, so they do it to give the fox a break to make sure that do you know what I'm saying? So credit where credit is due. Um,
Yeah. And not to mention they have to pay membership to a club, they have to pay insurance, and
yeah,
it's huge risk. The hunt for the individuals on the hunt is actually quite fucking dangerous.
yeah, yeah. It's not, it's like this is it's a very it's a lively sport. Like it's and people you said it there like when they come together and they come together regularly in the season. But there's a whole other side then. So in the small little villages around the country where, there's not a whole pile of passing trade but they be all coming together and maybe have a cup of coffee before they head out. Maybe the kids buy a few sweets and papers and all that kind of stuff in the shops, and then they obviously go off on their hunt and they come back and they might go to the local pub and have a bit of grub and a few drinks so like that's you take all of that out now. You're taking putting a huge vacuum into the heart of somewhere that doesn't have a whole pile of money coming back in,
Yeah. And I guarantee we're missing aspects of
without
like
that.
trailers, horse trailers, the extra
Yeah,
diesel, the pull, jeeps. Even
yeah,
in the off season, those horses need to be trained, so they need somewhere to be jumping
yeah.
and keep the horses fit. Like we're missing parts, and who are we having on to talk
Uh,
to us about this?
there's three women coming on, and again, I'm interested. Some of them hunt on foot, some of them hunt side saddle, which I didn't know was a even thing. So, um, and then some of them shoot as well. So we're going to kind of get um, a kind of flavor,
Now, sorry, dude, go ahead.
yeah, flavor of the different aspects within it. So we're going to we're going to do a whole show on that. Um, I was just chatting. I think one of the girls there is on a group that I'm on. Amanda's her name, and we'll. I just want to firm up a couple of dates. So I don't want to just what would you say? Uh, in case one of the girls maybe doesn't want to come on or something, just until we have it kind of confirmed. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
is one of these a vet, buddy?
what's that?
Is one of these a vet?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh,
No,
could
I
could
I thought
could
one of them might have been a vet, which would have been a good aspect to get their spin of it.
yeah, I'll confirm that. I'll confirm that.
Yeah,
Um, as I say, I don't know. I only know one of the girls from the group I'm on. I don't know the other two girls. So, um, I just want to. I'm calling them girls. They're ladies. But
yeah,
I want to just make sure we um because we're just going back and forward at the minute. But that'll be a deadly show to have. It'll be good aspect. Um, So yeah, like I think overall, I think over the last couple of weeks, man, the really cool thing is, um, we've all come together. Amanda Power is the girl's name. I just couldn't think her second name. Yeah. So, but yeah, we've all come together. You can see by I think the little badge we put up went kind of um all around the country, and there's a lot of people kind of just showing their support for it. So
I didn't even change my own profile, and every day I went, I'll change that now in a minute. I didn't even. I'll change it. All right.
no problem. But like, do it whenever you want, man. But it's not. It wasn't compulsory. It was just, I suppose, come up to it. Just it was a kind of a good indication or a reflection of um how people felt, and I think it's kind of cool now to be seeing. You kind of almost instantly spot it,
Yeah, I actually noticed that. I could see all the profile pictures. I was like, oh Jesus, there's a good few here weighing in. So I do think it was really cool to see everyone put together on this, and hopefully the same thing for January, because this bill is actually quite important.
Yeah, yeah, it's an important one. I think it's going to encompass what would you say, all of animal welfare, anything that's animals are involved in terms of sport and even breeding dogs, etc. So it's important for everyone to have their little bit um, their bit of input on it. There's
Yeah.
guidance, I think, from all the different groups, both from the horse and hunt side of things. I know that the NARGC are giving some guidance in terms of submissions as well. So each regional will do that as well. So yeah, no, look, I think they've kind of done us a favour, dude. They've kind of united us when um, we have been slightly fragmented. So, you know.
Thanks a million, lads. Thanks for that.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
we haven't really been doing a whole lot of shooting. You were out now for the first time yesterday. I don't know what's wrong. I don't have the urge to. I think we've had such a good season. I haven't. I'm content.
Yeah, like we'll probably do a couple of recaps now over the next couple of days, I suppose, with what would you say, our end of year posts and stuff. And I've just started to look at some of the potential. And by God, have we done some amount of gear this year? I think on our next podcast, that's what we might do. We might just do a little quick, what would you say, reflection on the year and what's in store for us next year.
Next year. Yeah, because even we're kicking straight into it next year.
Straight into it, man. Straight into it. So
Straight
it's
in.
the calm before the storm.
Tom, baby, you ready?
Let's go. Come here,
uh,
Robert. I
yeah.
think we will. You were going to say something there. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, what do you think of the new beanies?
Oh man, I'm raging. I had my eye on one of them now. I thought I'd get one of them myself for the old Christmas, but they came in. We only got it in a handful to as tests, and as quickly as they came in, they went straight out again.
Elliot, I didn't even ask for them, right? So the supplier and a good friend of mine said, "Here, we're after doing you up these just as a little test." And like, you see their fleece lined and all, like
They're
they're
stout.
really good quality.
Yeah.
But I gave them over to you. I thought there was four or five in the bag. But Mr. Knowles robbed one on me and never told me.
Yeah, he took one out of the bag. I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him because they
Yeah.
were they're just really comfy, man, and they're really good quality. And I love the color. There's an embroidered emblem on the front. So there's people actually have them on back order now. So we have them coming in very quickly in the new year.
In New Year in January, I have 50 more ordered, so they'll be coming in fairly lively. I was only talking to him today. And also, you see this top I'm wearing? You see that?
Yeah,
Yeah. So he can do me a top like this with our embroidered little. Now that's a good quality top. He says he can get them no problem.
nice,
There you go. It's
nice.
one of my new things.
Yeah,
Flooding the market shop.
yeah, absolutely. I think I like just the emblem. Our kind of
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That'd
Better
be
one just like that.
just like that. IHP.
Just like
Meat.
that. Right
Yeah,
here.
no, loads of things coming. And the white out was flying, man. Um, that's flying off. We literally couldn't keep that on the shelf.
I know, yeah. I should have got onto your man and got me to make up bigger batches, but he didn't. But that's my fault, not his. Um, if anyone has used it and wants to throw up before and after pictures, because like we can say it's great, but
Yeah, until it's
if
done. Yeah,
it does
exactly.
come back, and if it's not great, let us know because we can tweak that.
Yeah,
Yeah. You happy enough with everything?
I'm happy enough, man. I think that's it's been a fantastic year. As I say, when we look back, we will do a kind of an end of year show and kind of a look forward. I think that'll be a cool one because when you start to ream it off, it wasn't a good year. It was a superb year.
Super year.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything. And anyone who's gone shooting over the Christmas, stay safe.
They
And from me, I wish you and everyone listening a happy Christmas, buddy.
Right back at you, man. Thanks for everything, pal.
Thanks, pal.
It's been a pleasure having you on this year.
As always.
Yeah, instead of having me in the year in the van, I have you in my ear on the podcast, which is great. And thanks for everything, pal.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Over now.
Over and out.